AP 800, Critical Thinking by Josh Young. Critical thinking is a widely accepted educational goal. Its definition is contested, but the competing definitions can be understood as differing conceptions of the same basic concept, carefully thinking directed to a goal. Use of the term critical thinking to describe an educational goal goes way back to the American philosopher John Dewey in 1910, who more commonly called it reflective thinking. He defined it as active, persistent, and careful consideration of any belief or supposed form of knowledge in the light of the grounds that support it and the further conclusion to which it tends, and identified a habit of such consideration with the scientific attitude of mind. Okay, Enos in 2016, he listed 14 philosophically oriented scholarly definitions and 3 dictionary definitions, following Rawls, who in 71 who distinguished his conception of justice from an utilitarian conception, but regarded them as rival conceptions of the same concept. Enos maintains that the 17 definitions are different concepts of the same concept Rawls articulated, the shared concept of justice. A characteristic set of principles for assigning basic rights and duties for determining the proper distribution of the benefits and burdens of social cooperation. There are many skills that are essential for students to have in order to better themselves in their learning. Many of these skills should be taught at an early age and practiced as they grow and develop. Such skills as problem solving, collaboration, and critical thinking are vital to students inside and outside the classroom. Critical thinking skills are especially important for students to develop. Students need critically thinking skills in many situations, such as trying to solve a math problem, figuring out the best way to go to their house to work, or solving any type of puzzle. Just like the different font and background, this is making us think critically about what we are seeing. So personally, I feel like critical thinking a lot of times is common sense. Like stop, think about it. What's the best situation to put yourself in? Whether it's the math problem or, what's the simplest way to handle the problem? So the 8 most important critical thinking skills are analytical thinking. Part of a critical thinking is evaluating data from multiple sources in order to come to the best conclusions. Analytical thinking allows people to reject bias and strive to gather and consume information to come to the best conclusion. Open-mindedness, the critical thinking skills help you analyze and process information to come to an unbiased conclusion. Part of the critical thinking process is letting your personal bias go and coming to a conclusion based on all the information. Problem solving. Because critical thinking emphasizes coming to the best conclusion based on all the available information, it's a key part of problem solving. When used correctly, critical thinking helps you solve any problem from a workplace challenge to difficulties in everyday life. Self-regulation refers to the ability to regulate your thoughts and set aside any personal biases to come to the best conclusion. In order to be an effective critical thinker, you need to question the information you have and the decisions you favor. Only then can you come to the best conclusion. Observation. Observation skills help critical thinkers look for things beyond face value. To be a critical thinker, you need to embrace multiple points of view, and you can use observation skills to identify potential problems. Interpretation. Not all data is made equal, and critical thinkers now know this. In addition to gathering information, it's important to evaluate which information is important and relevant to your situation. That way, you can draw the best conclusions from the data you've collected. Evaluation. When you attempt to answer a hard question, there is rarely an obvious answer. Even though critical thinking emphasizes putting your biases aside, you need to be able to identify, confidently make a decision based on the data you have available. Communication. Once a decision has been made, you also need to share this decision with other stakeholders. includes presenting evidence supporting your conclusion, especially if there are a variety of different possible solutions. So there's a thing to keeping students engaged called the gallery walk. The strategy encourages students to thrive around the classroom in groups to respond to questions, document images or situations posted on the chart paper. Each group gets a different marker to record their responses and to get an amount of each station. When groups move to each station on their own idea and respond to what prior groups have written, they are critically thinking. They're thinking about, okay, this is what I think, well, they thought this. So some of the questions you could ask: which president was most influential? George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, or Abraham Lincoln? Is Holden Caulfield a hero? Strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree? Different stuff like it, just to get them thinking and keep them active, so they're not just sitting in the classroom behind a desk, the same old, same old. It really is a big part of keeping kids engaged. The importance of critical thinking emphasizes a rational, objective, and self-aware approach that can help you to identify credible sources and strengthen your conclusions, make you more open-minded and better able to understand others' point of view, makes you more empathetic and in a better position to get along with different kinds of people, keeps you from jumping to conclusions, and I feel as if critical thinking should be used as a tool to help students or adults to increase thinking and brain exercising. Getting up and doing something different other than just sitting there and taking notes or reading is a key factor when keeping the students engaged in discussions. I feel like it's very important when we're critical thinking for the students to get up and move around, because too much we get in the same old trend, we get in the same old rut. Students are just there behind their desk. They're not moving. I'm a PE teacher, so I get to make them move, get around, wear out some of the energy, but sometimes you got to change it up, not just do the same old behind the desk. Thanks.